Kaiwera farmers Andrew and Heather Tripp run a large and diverse farming business. They won this year's Supreme Award in the Southland Balance Farm Environment Awards. They won their first award in 2002, before adding a dairy farm to their business portfolio. Their dairy consultant, Ivan Lyons, encouraged the Tripps to enter the awards again this year.
It's been great for us, a real learning experience. We never stop learning. And the first time we won it was back in 2002. That was the first event in Southland, the Balance Farm Environment Awards. And there we were just running sheep, so about 10,500 ewes. Just a big sheep farm, sheep and buying and cattle. So we've come a long way in 12 years. We've now got a dairy unit as well as a sheep and beef unit. We've got 2 successful studs, we've got a farm stay, and we've got forestry and dairy support on the sheep side as well. So it's a much more complex business, but we're still always learning, always trying to do things better, be innovative. And the whole Balanced Farm Environment Awards, it's been fantastic for us in terms of helping us think about what is sustainability and just doing things better. In years gone by, profit's been pretty important, or it's been probably the key for most people, but that detriment to the environment or the detriment to staff and people involved with the business. So we see all those 3 things as being important equally and try and work at doing the best we can on all 3. We employ a lower order share milker on the dairy unit, and he's got his own staff. So he's got 4 permanent staff and himself, and his wife does some of the admin work as well. That's Jan and Catherine de Klerk. We converted the dairy farm back in 2008 due to low sheep returns, and it's just part of our overall business. And currently we're milking 820 cows at peak, and last year we did 1,309 kilos of milk solids and 423 kilos per cow, and it's doing really well. Our first year conversion was quite difficult. It sorted out the teething problems, and 6 years down the track, things are going good. Part of our thinking is always to look at innovative ways of doing things, and so we got the setup, we think, really good. And the shed was well sited, good lanes and a good setup. And we've got a good effluent system, K-line. We've got the shed located in a place where we've got gravity feeding to the dairy ponds, and we've got green wash going through the dairy shed for wash down, and we've got green wash on this feed pad as well. We're always looking at doing things as well as we can. We bought this pad 2 years ago. The whole idea was just to have a pad that was near the shed. Cows could go under the pad, eat silage, and then they'd be half full by the time they got to the paddock, so they're more settled. So we actually just use this for the springtime and the autumn mainly, or when we get sort of rough weather, and that really helps the cows, and it just keeps the cows off the paddocks when it's wet, prevents pasture pugging, and just helps us get better growth in our paddocks as well. At the moment we've got a grain feeding system in the shed, so they do get some grain and palm kernel mix, and then they come onto the pad and they get silage, and then they're off to the paddocks. So obviously end of the season they're getting about 2 kilos of grain in the shed depending on which mob. The lighter mob getting a bit more grain, and then they're getting about 4 kgs of silage on the pad, and then they go off to the paddock, and so they've basically already had 6 to 7 kgs of dry matter, and then they just get another sort of 10 kgs of grass in the paddock. Part of the diet that we're looking at is to improve the diet. At the moment, obviously just the palm kernel, grain, silage and grass, but we're working with a nutritionist in Australia, and it's part of our soil fertility program, trying to improve the soils, improve the animal health and improve the diet in the cows as well. So we see it as all part of the same package, and we're looking at other options as well in terms of feed. We see the dairy as integral to our whole business, and I enjoy the business side of it. I don't actually have much hands-on involvement with the dairy, but it's something I still enjoy, and it's a very profitable part of our business too. We've had an extensive planting policy over the years. A lot of the trees were planted through the mid-90s up to sort of early 2000s, and in that time we probably planted close to 80,000 trees. So the main emphasis has been on forestry blocks, so we've put in pine, macrocarpa, Douglas fir and also red beech. And other than the forestry, there's the shelter belts. An example, one of the shelter belts eucalyptus with natives underplanted, and it just creates good shelter, good shade, and it's just amenity. It's really good. I love the native species. I probably got it from my mother. She's really keen on native trees, and so that's probably one of the reasons we're planting red beech as well. And we've got quite a few native species on the property that we've had a botanist come in, and he's actually determined what native species we've had, so we've got close to 130 species on the farm. So that's been good for us to actually find out and identify what we have on our property. We're also keen on amenity plantings, so we've got a couple of ponds that we've planted out, so mainly native species, sort of tortoise and flaxes and coprosmas and a few broadleaf natives as well. So yeah, it just creates something that's visually really nice to look at, and part of the environment that we have here on Nithdale, to create a place where people want to be and enjoy being on and working here.
Welcome back. Andrew and Heather Tripp run a diverse set of businesses on their property near Gore in Southland. Andrew's particular passion is sheep breeding, and here, as in every aspect of business at Nithdale Station, the Tripps look for ways of making improvements and using technology and human resources as effectively as possible.
We're running just under 5,500 ewes, so it's about 3,500 commercial ewes and just under 1,500 stud Romney ewes and about 430 stud Suffolk ewes. And we're running beef as well on the beef side of the farm. The genetic side of our operation is a really important part of our business. In this last couple of years we've sold around 500 rams, and that's been a great thing for us, and really excited and passionate about the sheep side of it and the sheep breeding and the genetic side of it. We've won 2 awards last year, the Beef and Lamb New Zealand Sheep Industry Awards down in Invercargill. We got the genetic awards for reproduction and worm resistance, and the year before we got an award for the best dual purpose flock breeding for worm resistance. So really excited about that and the genetic progress we've made. The last couple of years we've started breeding for facial eczema tolerance, and we've got a few clients up in the North Island and a few in Nelson that have facial eczema, and we see it as something long term. It may become more of a problem down here if global warming continues. Just a 2-degree shift will mean that we could get problems with facial eczema down in Southland. So we're looking ahead 20 years, and if we start breeding now for it, we'll be in a good position in 20 years' time. And we can do that through the gene technology that we're using now, Sheep 50K and 5K. So basically we can determine the genetic potential of our sheep based on their DNA, and one of those traits that we can select for is facial eczema tolerance. So that's how we're doing it. Plus also using some good rams from up in the North Island off studs that have been selecting for FE tolerance for a number of years. With the Romneys, we're trying to breed a sheep that we don't have to dag, don't have to shepherd, and we don't have to drench. And it's low cost, but it's high performing as well. 6 years ago, we sold just over 150 rams, and we bought Murray Roloff's Awareka Romney stud down at Toodarau. He'd been part of the Southern Romney Development Group that we've been part of for a number of years, and we saw that as an opportunity to increase our sales and also to get hold of Murray's genetics. And this last year we've sold just over 500 rams, and it's grown a lot, and just really excited with what we're doing, and just trying to breed a sheep that's more suited for where the sheep industry is going, out on the hill country. All the better land's been taken up with dairy support and dairy conversions. So we've got hill country here, lambing our sheep out on the hill unshepherded. And I think that's where the sheep industry is going, where a lot of our clients and future clients are looking for our sort of genetics.
My main role is in support of Andrew, so whether we're interviewing staff or discussing, planning, board of directors meetings and things like that, I'm very much involved in that. There's 6 houses on the farm, so I'm responsible for maintaining maintenance on those things, so a lot of communication with people on the farm, probably in that sort of area rather than the hands-on day-to-day running of the place. The farm stays has been a natural part of our business. It's grown with what we're doing here anyway, so we created it as a commercial business about 4 years ago. It is open for tourists to come and stay here, and we get people from various countries, some from Europe, some from Asia, and it just works in really well with our love of showing off our farm and showing hospitality to people, and it helps our kids get to meet people from around the world. They'll be here for 2 nights.
Okay. See ya.
Probably the most people that we have staying in the farm stay are here to do a job here on the farm or to buy a ram, contractors like fencers, all sorts of people. We've had people from local business passing through on business trips too, which is probably an area that we would be keen to grow the business in, using it as a stop between here and Dunedin.
For us, the staff are key to the operation of the property. We can't farm without them. I can't do it all myself, and so it's really important to have the right staff and to have the right staff that will stay as well. So that's part of our philosophy of sustainability, putting in place things that will encourage good staff to come and good staff to stay. In terms of consultants we've used, people outside the business, probably the key thing for us has been getting Brendan Harricks involved, peer review in Gore. He's been a close friend for a number of years, but Brendan's focus is really on governance for us, and we've established a board, and that's just given Heather and myself better clarity in terms of vision and direction for the property. And we established what our vision is for the place. We want to farm Nithdale sustainably and profitably, so that's sort of where it all revolves around that, and that sort of influences all the things that we do and the decisions we make. And then for each of the 2 main enterprises that we're running, on the sheep and beef side, we had Graham Butcher, and he's actually been involved with the farm for a number of years, but he sort of comes out every 2 months, and I sit down with my sheep manager and Graham, and we go over just basically the operations and management on the sheep and beef unit and sort of plan ahead regarding that. And then on the dairy, we use Ivan Lyons as well, and Jan and myself and Ivan would meet again on a 2-monthly basis. So both those consultants have been great at that management level and just helping us get the performance and production up to speed.
I guess we're just really glad that we can be in a business that is not just about growing grass and feeding sheep and everything, but that it is all about people as well. For me, that's where my passion is. And just to hopefully in the future our kids will have some of those same beliefs and passions that we've passed on to them, and that we can just trust that whatever they do on the farm, whatever they do with it, they will use the gifts and things that they've got and do the best they can for Nithdale or wherever they end up.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.